Hello, my family. So we are now in the kitchen doing supper tonight. I went earlier. I needed some pepper, so I went to the garden, got me, well, a small pepper. But hey, food is food. I'm not going to complain about it. And I stopped off at the lettuce bed, and I got the far bit out of me ants. I do not know how to get rid of these things. I don't like using chemicals because it traces into my food. I'm trying cinnamon. I don't know what I'm going to do, but these ants are driving me nuts. Since we've had so much rain this season, I have ant hills everywhere. So, and they hurt. Those things will bite you quick. So I got to figure out how to get those out of my lettuce because I like my food and I don't like it being taken over by an ant. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start supper. What I am making tonight is using ground turkey. I am making a ground turkey meatloaf. I will be making mashed potatoes out of cauliflower, and I will be sauteing and steaming, or basically steaming, farm fresh kale that we grew on the homestead. So let's get to making supper in the kitchen. Okay, y'all, so yes, this is a low carb meal. This is also good for diabetic to have, safe, and food that will fill you up, and somewhat leaner as well, as we're using the ground turkey. Now I will be adding a little bit of fat to this because it's really lean, so I am going to be adding some olive oil to mine. Now what I am doing right now, I don't particularly have a recipe, so you can go ahead and follow this video and then write down, get some paper and that, and write down what you're watching on this video to make this meal. It's just one of those I put together with, I don't really have a recipe for, so it does give you some ideas of what you might be able to do. Plus it's considered, I guess, a comfort food, so you can do this summertime, you can do this in the winter time. So I'm just going to share with you my go-to meal. So I am just now going to chop up, not really thick or nothing or really big. I'm just going to do some diced pieces of bell pepper. It doesn't have to be any specific kind. Choose whatever you have. I'm using what I just grew on the farm. So I'm just going to chop this up, and then I'm going to add this to the meat. I'm actually going to break this up. I've got about a half a pound of ground turkey right here, so I'm going to go ahead and break this up right now as well. Actually, I'm going to need something better than that. There we go. Like I said, I just want to break this down. I will be mixing this later once I get everything incorporated, so. Alright, that's good right there. Just enough so I can get my ingredients in here. I wish I can do a lot of this on my own. If I had the opportunity a lot of people have, I definitely would utilize that. Alright, and I'm watching some of the stuff they have in our meat. I don't know, this is just, oh no, things are changing, y'all. I can see it for myself. So I'm going to just go ahead and finish off this pepper. And then I'm going to be using some chopped onions as well. Sometimes I'll think of new ideas to do just so I can get different flavors. And I'm honestly thinking about adding some grated cheese to this. I have some smoked cheddar, which that flavor will go really good inside of this meatloaf, so I'm probably going to add that. So I'm going to add this right now. I'm going to add just a little bit more of these peppers, and I'm going to add a yellow one this time, because they are small. And again, I'm just going to do this one the same way. Pull out the ribbing, remove the seeds, and just chop into small pieces. Just like so. I have my oven sitting currently on 350 degrees. I'm using a glass bread pan to do this, or that's what I'll be baking it into actually. Alright, so now I'm just going to add that. Now I'm going to add my diced onions. Just going to cut these up the same way I did. Go by your preference, go by your amount, your flavor, your taste. That's pretty much what this is. Meatloaf is one of those dishes, pretty much throw together type of meal which you have around the house and make it your own. And with that, you can even add a different type of meat source than what I am doing. You can use venison, you can use hamburger if you wanted to, you can use chicken. Most everybody these days know how to make a meatloaf, so, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. We have not had meatloaf in quite a while, to be honest with you, and I got to thinking is bring back some of our old stuff but make it more healthier version, and it's very well possible as I'm showing you now. Some things I can still use, even though it has carbs. I just now limit how much of it I use. Okay, so a little bit more onion, and I'll be good. There we go. Alright, so there's my onion. Now I'm actually going to add 1 egg. I'm not really going to add a binder. Now some people will add what do you call it, breadcrumbs to their meals. I will not add a breadcrumb to this. So I'm actually going to be adding 1 egg. These are our farm fresh eggs. I love, the more I can do on my farm and add to my table, the happier I am. I'm actually going to be now adding some of my garlic that was home dehydrated and powdered out of fresh garlic. And by now, most of y'all know I make my own seasonings. I just actually got through growing and picking another really big mess of oregano, dehydrated it over the weekend, so that made me feel good. I've got almost a half gallon of oregano in the pantry. That's going to help for me this winter. So there was some garlic. I used about maybe a tablespoon in there. I happen to like garlic. I'm going to use just a little bit of Worcestershire. I do not want to use a whole lot of this, maybe just a teaspoon just for flavor. That is it. I'm going to add another flavor enhancer. It's just a small tad bit amount of liquid smoke. A lot of people will add a mustard sauce to their meatloaf. I am going to be using homemade Dijon mustard. I happen to like the flavor of Dijon, that robust flavor, so I will be adding that to this. About a teaspoon. Now some salt and pepper. I'm using fresh ground cracked pepper. And then I will be using pink Himalayan sea salt. And then I am going to go ahead and grate. I've never done that before, but I'm going to grate some smoked cheddar in here, so I will be right back. Okay, y'all, so I've got about a cup of smoked cheddar. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil to this for my fat base, because this is kind of a lean loaf, being turkey. And now I'm just going to mix all these ingredients together. Like I said, I'm curious as to what this, occasionally I will do something crazy like that just to change up flavors. I don't want to keep having the same thing over and over. So I will come up with something new, and this is one of them. So I'm just now going to mix this all together. Just like I would an ordinary meatloaf. And it smells so good. And then what I like to do, well, actually hubby likes it too. I have done this with a topping. Now he likes it sometimes with ketchup on it, but his favorite is he likes his dressed with barbecue sauce. And as you all know, I made a homemade barbecue. I need to use it within a certain amount of time, so I am going to top dress this meatloaf with that barbecue sauce to give it that extra kick and flavor. Oh, that's going to be so good. Alright, so I've got this thoroughly mixed. These gloves, y'all, are just too big for me. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my pan and try and sneak my hand out of here right quick. I need to actually get this so I can grease my pan, but I can't do it this way. You know what? There's grease on my hands from the, why not, from the olive oil. So I'm just going to go ahead and grease my pan with what I got. No sense wasting that. So, alright. Now I'm just going to take my meatloaf from my pan and I'm going to press it into my loaf pan. Now again, as you notice, I did not add a binder. I could have added, now here's some binders. If you want to stick to low carb, you do want a binder to this. You can add pork skins. You can add almond flour. You can add, maybe take some of your low carb bread and toast your breads if you are using that. If you made homemade bread, you can use that as well and toast it and then turn it into a breadcrumb. Alright, so now I've got this in my pan. This is going to go in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes or so. It could be longer, or until it reads 165 degrees. So, but before I do that, I got one other thing to do, and I will be right back for that. Okay, so now that I've mixed everything together, I've got it in my pan. Now it's time to put the topping of it, and that was my homemade barbecue. And I'm just going to slowly drizzle this to a small pool. Now I'm going to take my pastry brush and just brush it around my whole loaf. That way I can get the flavor throughout the whole thing. And then I'm just going to bake this with it. Toward the end, I will check it again and see where it stands, and I may have to add more just to give some more of that barbecue flavor to the top. And that's it. Now this goes in the oven until it is finished. Like I said, for about 35 minutes, or 35 minutes, depends. Depends on how much you made, depends on the temperature, how your oven does. So I just go until my internal temp is finished. So I'm going to stick this in the oven, and I will begin with the kale. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start with our kale. I am using a saucepan here. This was all farm fresh. It's already been taken off of the stems. It's already been pre-washed and cleaned. So now I'm just going to add it together. And I'm going to take the bottom of my pan and add about a tablespoon or so of olive oil. To that, I am going to be adding some chopped up onions and some minced garlic. Now I will say, when it comes to the mashed potatoes, I'm not pretty much going to show that one. That one takes, honestly, about 10-15 minutes at the most, and you have your potatoes. So, and how I'll do that, I'll just give you the directions while I'm chopping this onion up and this is heating, is I will take a bag of frozen cauliflower. Frozen, I mean, you can use fresh. If you do, you'll want to steam it until it's soft. I've been finding, if I go to Walmart, honestly, here's the reason why I've been getting frozen. Frozen comes out cheaper. It's 98 cents or 98 to 99 cents, even up to $1 for a, let's see, how many ounces of this? 12-ounce bag of cauliflower in the frozen department at Walmart. Great value. I can get this a whole lot cheaper, y'all, than buying the fresh cauliflower. And you're getting, by the time you cut it up, you're getting the same thing as this. So this is not riced. You can rice it yourself, but I'm going to tell you, I just find it, I can take this steamable bag, stick it in my microwave, cook it 6 minutes, it's done. I will put it in my strainer to make sure I get all of the water out of it. I will put it in my saucepan that I'm going to make my potatoes in. Make sure I cook them just a little bit to absorb any more water that might be left in it. I will add my butter flavor, whether it be ghee, butter if you want, you can do that, and then just add your flavoring. You can add some heavy whipping cream to this, you can add mayonnaise to this, you can add cream cheese to this. Make this any flavor you want. You can do traditional, you can do ranch flavor, anything. So make it your way, quick, simple, approximately 6 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. Use an emulsion blender, make it up, and you've got mashed potatoes. So I am actually, that doesn't take long, so I'm not going to do that one. I just explain how I do it, and that's about it. So, and it goes really good with most everything. But I did show you how I do the cheap way out, I guess. I shouldn't always do that, but I do. My cauliflower did not grow this year. It was given to me. We've had some extremely strange weather, and it wiped my cauliflower stalk out. With that brain, I've always had problems with those plants, so I don't know. All I know is I have to do what I gotta do, so frozen it is. And basically frozen is like having fresh. So it's not preserved, basically, except for being frozen. So that's what I choose to do. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I got this too high, so I'm going to do this on a low setting because I do not want to go too dark, basically, on my garlic. I might only use one clove of this. This is another one that doesn't necessarily have a recipe. I'm just creating a meal, y'all, so like I said, just jot down notes on paper. There's going to be times you're going to just have notes from me to jot down and make it your own from there. These are what I call just giving you ideas, not so much a recipe. So I'm going to now mince up my garlic as well. I do not want that smoking now. I am having issues out of this stove and this eye constantly wanting to go higher than it should. It even makes it hard on me when it comes to canning and frustrates the fire out of me. This stove is about 5 years old. It shouldn't go out like this, but I guess nothing lasts forever these days. I'm probably going to have to look into a new coil system. I've tried new coils, but that don't work either. It's electric. And I definitely don't like the glass tops. I had one and I won't ever own one of those again. Alright, so clear that on the side. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on here and get these sauteed inside my pan now. I just want to do this long enough to bring out the flavor and the scent and the oils in my onion and my garlic. See, let me bring you closer. Do you see this better? Don't mean to move y'all around. You start smelling that garlic and the onions. This one now I am going to go ahead and start adding my chopped up pieces of kale. So I'm just going to make these into bite-sized pieces, nothing fancy. And I'm just going to start throwing them in my pot with my onions. Stirring them along the way so I can incorporate all of this in here. And I am going to actually make this whole thing, because this is going to cook down quite a bit. And this makes great sides for hubby's lunch as well. I do prepare him a lunch every day, so he usually gets leftovers. It's what he likes to do, and it's better than getting some of that stuff out there, even fast food. So mix this in here like that. See how fast this cooks down? It usually does, just like spinach or turnips or anything else. It usually takes a lot of greens to make up a good mess for dinner, but I don't mind it. I mean, it's a healthy way. You can use kale just raw too in a salad if you wanted to. You can use it in a soup. I've had zuppa toscana with it, and I have absolutely loved that. And I'm almost done. just going to tear some of these up. Hubby and I worked on the farm yesterday, cleaning the place up a lot, doing a lot of weed eating, trimming, a lot of stuff that got out of hand over the winter. We finally got a chance. It stopped raining enough where we could literally work outside, fix up the turkey pen. We got a lot done yesterday, and I couldn't have been happier to get it done. So, and this was one of them that I ended up picking some of that kale that desperately needed to be done. So that's too big. Again, I'm just going to stir this down. Mixing all of my onions and everything together. Now at this point, I'm just going to add just a tad bit of water to this so I can steam these a bit. Turn this up just a little. Alright, now I don't want to use a whole lot. I'm just going to use just a little bit to steam these. Make this on medium high, or about medium. Cover this up, and then I'm just going to steam them until they're pretty much wilted. And at that point, we will be right back. Okay, y'all, as you can see, that cooked down an awful lot, and this pot was full. That's why I said you want a good mess of them. Now, this will be enough for hubby and I for this evening's meal, plus maybe, unless he likes them good enough, maybe enough for his lunch tomorrow. But if not, I got him covered. So now I have got this, and the liquid that I added in here doesn't necessarily have to be water. You can add broth to this as well. Now I'm going to add some lemon pepper to this. I'm also going to use my homemade lemon pepper. Sprinkle inside of here. About a teaspoon. I'm going to add a little pinch of salt to this. And then I'm just going to mix this up. And you can add whatever seasonings if you want to add a little bit of kick to this, you can add some cayenne pepper to it as well. Any ways you like it. If you want to add some bacon to this, you can add some bacon to it and all that. So, and that's it, y'all. That is the greens. So I am letting the meatloaf cook. These greens are finished, and I explained how I'm going to be doing my mashed potatoes made out of frozen cauliflower. I'm going to turn this off. Supper is actually done early, so I am going to be able to turn this off for now and then reheat it when hubby comes home. And so that's the reason why I did the meatloaf as well. So I'm going to set this up and be right back with you. Alright, y'all, so that is supper tonight. It's quick, simple, something that could be made within a few minutes, popped in the oven. You can add the meatloaf to your oven. You can put it in a conventional oven, anything that makes it easier for you. So at this point, I'm going to end this video. I'm hoping I give you some ideas to add to your kitchen and for your family. I'm hoping that you enjoy your evening together with each other. And again, this isn't really necessarily a recipe, but it's one of those use your preference and taste. So and write down some of the ingredients, that way you can play with it to what you like. I'll use a lot of recipes, but there are some items like this type of meals where I don't necessarily have a recipe. I never really came up with one. I just go based by preference and taste, and it's over the years of being accustomed to making this. So Like I said, I hope I gave you some ideas. Much love to you from Parton's Heritage Homestead.